Hello everyone, welcome to today's bookish video. Today I'm going to be going through 10 amazing books in my Audible library that I feel like I must recommend. I enjoy using Audible as a way to get through many different books on my reading list, as well as try books that I might not have considered before. I have a few different topics and ideas I'd like to share with you all, and hopefully some of the books I mentioned might catch your interest. I finished 3 fantastic but heartbreaking stories on Audible that all had girl in the title. The books I listened to were Girl with the Pearl Earring, The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo, and The Girl with the Louding Voice. When I think of girl, I think of a young female child still coming of age and very vulnerable. When you use girl in the title, I think it's a really good way to generalize and make it seem like this could be anyone's story. A name at the start can sometimes make people think this is an isolated experience and this only happened to that person. I like the way that there is then a descriptive word following girl to show that this is her story in particular, but it could happen to any girl. There are many young girls who are made to miss out on education and start working as servants to support their family. This happened in the 17th century with the girl with the pearl earring, and this is also still happening in the 21st century, like with the girl with the louding voice. And then there are girls who experience trauma due to a failed system that was meant to protect them, like the girl with the dragon tattoo. The first book is Girl with the Pearl Earring, inspired by the actual painting. The story is about Greek who becomes a maid for the Vermeer household in order to support her family. At her young age, she doesn't have a choice about her future and is forced to take on this responsibility because her father is blind. Vermeer is a respected painter, however is known to only produce maybe 1 or 2 paintings a year because he's such a perfectionist. This is not great for his finances, but he's a bit proud and does not really care, even though he has a family to support. And so because he's such a control freak, he's very careful about his studio and he doesn't like anyone just entering there. However, due to Greek having a keen eye and being able to clean and put things back exactly where she found them, because apparently, that's the real way to clean. You make the place look nice and tidy, but you don't move things. I'm the type that would think, I have to organize and rearrange. You need to leave the person's mess in the same way. Apparently, that's pro cleaning tip. So yeah, Vermeer takes an interest in her because he sees that she's got a really good eye for detail. And then he begins asking her to also assist him with his work. At first making suggestions for his paintings, and then also helping him prepare for the paintings, and then finally he decides to paint her. So the book is about a young girl's admiration of her master. It's about crossing boundaries, and it's about her becoming aware of what it means to be a young woman in a man's world. Next, I listened to The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo. This book is about 2 girls, Harriet Vanger, who disappeared 40 years ago, and Lisbeth Salander, who's investigating what happened to her. At a family gathering, Harriet does not arrive for dinner. The island has been closed off due to an incident, so there was no way she could have left. And so everyone wants to know what happened to Harriet. Her uncle is convinced that she was murdered by someone in her family. But with no body found anywhere, it's almost as if she disappeared into thin air. Desperate to have some closure, her uncle hires Mikael Blomqvist to investigate what happened to Harriet for the last time. His job is to look into the family's dark history and find out who the murderer is. Now, in order to get some classified information, Blomqvist hires Salander, who is a computer hacker, very small in frame, and has a big dragon tattoo. Salander has been through a lot, and she's seen as an unstable and vulnerable person, and so the system are really controlling her life and she doesn't have much freedom. Also means that she's experienced authority figures abusing their powers over her. Despite all her secrets and the traumatic events that could be holding her down, Salander is very passionate about figuring out what happened to Harriet. As she moves forward with Harriet's case, she realizes that Harriet is actually not the only missing girl, and that there are other young girls who have gone missing in a similar manner. This investigation has suddenly gotten really dangerous, but the truth about these girls cannot stay hidden, and Salander is prepared to risk it all. And the last book with girl in the title is The Girl with the Louding Voice. It is set in Nigeria, and it shows how some small villages are still struggling. The fact that education is limited to those who only have money, and preferably in the households they always prioritize the boys. In certain villages they still practice child marriages, getting young girls to marry older men for the good of the family, as well as girls from villages getting tricked into slave trafficking when they're looking for opportunities to go to Lagos, because they believe they can change their life once they have the chance to go to the city. Adeni is a 14-year-old girl and has been through all of the above. When her mother dies, her father pulls her out of school, claiming that there is no money and that there is also no need for a girl to get educated. Then her father marries her off to an older man because he wants to continue his life of comfortably drinking himself away. And finally, Adeni runs away from her husband's house after a tragic incident. She gets tricked into going to Lagos thinking she'll be able to earn money and start her education again. However, when she arrives, she finds out that she's going to be the housemaid of a very big and very mean businesswoman. While in this house, Eleni tries to uncover what happened to the previous maid before her and why no one wants to talk about her. And she also forms an unlikely friendship with a woman who believes that girls can be more and encourages Eleni to not give up on her dreams. Eleni has determined she will be a girl with a louding voice. The next two books I want to share are quite different to each other, but they are about men who are recounting their stories and coming to terms with the traumatic event that happened to them. The first book is The Beekeeper of Aleppo. Nuri is a beekeeper and his wife Afra is an artist. That was who they were before the Syrian civil war. Their small but happy lives changed when a bomb goes off outside their kitchen, killing their young son and making Afra to go blind. After constantly getting threatened to enlist in the military, Nuri decides it's time to escape from his home in Aleppo and becomes a refugee. The goal is to find asylum in England where they believe there will be an opportunity for a fresh start. However, the journey from Aleppo in Syria to Europe is a heartbreaking tale. Though this book is fictional, it was a really good way to show humans on survival mode. And it shows some challenging experiences that refugees have to face. It is a fight for hope, which is not easy to hold on to when you are literally being taken. The next is Piranesi. It had that Robinson Crusoe first person narration where the main character is just telling us about their daily life, you know, telling me how he fishes, he's telling me the skeletons he's talking to. And if I'm honest, I'm not very interested at the start. However, Piranesi then begins to say certain things that might seem like plot holes, is that the right word, or just make you think, what is happening? I'm a bit confused now. And you think, wait, is he not catching that? And you're kind of raising an eyebrow thinking, does he believe that? And you're just a bit confused because the main thing is that Piranesi doesn't notice the things that he's saying is not making sense. It's 1 + 1 = 5. And so because of that, I am now curious about who he is, why he is in this house, and who are these 12 dead skeletons that he keeps talking about. It is a book about trust, the faith he has in the house, the relationship he has with the other, and the confidence he has in himself and his diary entries. The next two books are TV/film adaptations that are really popular at the moment and I was curious about. Sword of Destiny is 6 short stories about Gareth, an introduction to the characters and some of the events that will be relevant in the series The Witcher. There isn't really much to say. The stories were interesting and they show a lot of potential. The characters are strange, fun, and have a dark past. The plot includes wars and corruption, so it has all the right ingredients for creating an unforgettable adventure. However, it does not go into depth because, like I said, this is just like an introduction. And the next one is Dune. My girl Zendaya is in the movie, so I need to see the movie still, but like I said, I just wanted to catch up on the book first. One thing that I really like about Dune as an Audible is that it stands out because of its background music. With lots of Audibles, sometimes they might have some music at the start or at the end, you know, just to set the scene a little. However, throughout Dune, we have this really great sensory experience that during a character's mood, the music will change. When they change locations, the music will also reflect that. It was a really great effect and I felt really drawn and engaged with the story more because of this background music. I was literally able to transport into the deserts of Arrakis because I could hear the whoosh, and it was so cool. The main character, Paul, might be the child of prophecy. There is pressure on his shoulders to either walk out this path or try to create his own dream. Unfortunately though, when you do have so much potential, it means you get a target on your back. I don't know what I'm doing. Paul has to encounter deceit and loss, but he also manages to become really adaptable and strong. This book focuses a lot on relationships. The trust and bonds people have for each other really play a big part in the outcome of this journey. The next two books are for sometimes when you want a random and comedic story. These books really taught me about going with the flow and not taking life so seriously. Yes, The 100-Year-Old Man Who Climbed Out the Window and Disappeared is a long title and it is exactly about just that. Alan Carson on his 100th birthday decides to run away from his care home, simply because he didn't want to have a birthday party. Alan begins his journey of escape and then also starts reminiscing about his life and how he got to this care home. Now, the first thing Alan does after leaving the care home is to steal a suitcase and hop on a coach out of town. We quickly learn that Alan is not a man that focuses on good and bad. His intentions are simply in the moment. And so when the gang member whose suitcase he has stolen comes chasing after him, Alan defends himself by locking him away. However, Alan locked him in a refrigerator and forgot he had left it on. And so he kills a man by mistake, and there really isn't any malice aforethought for it to be murder. Alan is escaping from the care home workers, and the police now. The book is hilarious and random. Like I said, it's just about going with the flow. If you take life so seriously sometimes, you actually miss opportunities. Alan Carson lived one of the most entertaining lives I've ever heard of, and all because he said yes to things and didn't ask many questions. Trust me, Alan Carson knows everyone. All the political leaders have him on speed dial, and he is behind a lot of major events in history, but we just didn't know about it. And similarly, just as random, The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. It's super fun and it literally starts with the Earth getting blown up by aliens. And it's not because they're upset or angry with the Earth or anything like that. It's simply because they need to build a bridge of some sort and Earth is in the way. It's completely reasonable. The construction must go on. Arthur Dent, the main character, is spared from destruction because one of his mates actually happened to be an alien who was stranded on Earth. And so what the two of them do is hitchhike on the spaceship that is currently destroying Earth. And so they begin their journey exploring space with no literal destination in mind, just catching random lifts and thinking about what the meaning of life is. And finally, to finish off this list, it's Noughts Crosses by Malorie Blackman. I actually read this book when I was in secondary school, but I re-listened to it on Audible because I'm thinking to do the whole series now that it's completed. I don't usually read books centered around race because I find it emotionally draining. The injustice and division is just so heartbreaking, I get super depressed and start crying. However, it is a topic that I don't want to keep running away from, and there are a few books on my reading list that I would like to get through. I thought Noughts Crosses would be a good start because it kind of switches things up a little. The oppressors are the crosses, the dark-skinned ruling class, and the oppressed are the Noughts, the colourless underclass who used to be slaves to the crosses. Callum and Seffi's story is not your typical coming of age, boy meets girl, fall in love, light drama, they recover happily ever after ending. No, this book has an awful ending. It is awful in that I am crying and screaming at the end of it, and I genuinely do not remember it being so sad. And so yeah, spoiler alert, the ending is awfully sad, like heartbreaking. And the main reason for so much heartache and pain is literally the colour of a person's skin. The book includes interracial couples getting beat up, someone losing their job for no reason, segregation and young people not being able to attend school. There is also a lot of political corruption, activism, terrorism, and public executions. These are all things that literally used to happen. And I think Malorie Blackman did an amazing job writing such an uncomfortable and sensitive book in a really easy way to digest, if that makes sense. It's super engaging because you're pulled into the characters' lives and you really are rooting for them, because I think the main point for her was just to start discussion of what if the roles were reversed. And so we have come to the end of this bookish video. I highly recommend all of these books. There's so much variety within them and it's great to have different perspectives to see life through. I have expanded my Audible library. I'm listening to a lot of different genres that I wouldn't necessarily listen to, and I'm also learning lots. I'm so happy to have experienced all these books on Audible. The narratives for all these books were actually really good and very enjoyable experience. If you're interested in Audible, sign up and get 30 days free trial and 1 book for free. I have linked my books down below. Let me know if you've heard of any of them or you've actually read or listened to them yourself, as well as anything else you'd like to add to some of the points I mentioned. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you enjoyed this video, remember to like, comment, subscribe, ring the notification bell so you know when I post. Bye!